Today on Studio One, if you're a parent, pushing your children too hard in sports can have some major side effects. A look at what you can do to help. Plus, we'll show you how Kjelland is making a difference in the community with her love for the arts. And we'll preview the movie, The Truth About Cats and Dogs.
Brian, right?
Yeah, hi, Abby.
Yeah, this is my friend.
Now, from the University of North Dakota with Scott Seiler and Stephanie Mars, this is Studio One.
Glad to have you with us today. This is Studio One, and thanks for joining us.
Well, the floodwaters are finally receding, but a lot of people are still being affected by the floods, and our news team will tell us how farmers are being affected by it.
Some of the other things that we'll be talking about today on Studio One are Dean David Wilson. He's one of the people we'll be talking about. He's from the UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences. He will join us to talk about plotting the school's future.
And later, Rachelle Nellis will show us how we can recycle paper in our home. Today, she'll do it right before our eyes.
But first, today's national news from CNN and news from around the region with Mike Mundahl. Mike?
Thanks, Scott and Stephanie. Democrats plan to attach minimum wage legislation to every bill that comes before Congress. Democrats know Republican leadership is in a corner, and they are savoring every minute of it. Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich plans on putting a stop to the minimum wage legislation. A group of 35 to 40 Republicans have broken away from the Republican Party on the issue and favor an even larger raise than the Democrats. They want to give the Republican Party a chance to come around. However, there are already enough Republicans on board to force and win a vote on the minimum wage. Wheat prices are skyrocketing as the drought continues in the most fertile wheat-producing land in the world. Kansas is being hit hard, and some call it the worst conditions since the Dust Bowl. Many farmers are discouraged and have already plowed their crop under. The government says half the U.S. wheat crop is being lost to drought. Topsoil is being blown into ditches, and bugs are ravaging what is left.
I haven't seen anything yet if it continues to stay dry.
In the span of a decade, U.S. wheat stockpiles have gone from an all-time high to what would be their lowest level since the 1940s. A harsh winter has left people wondering about the condition of farms in the area. Minnesota farmers are in worse shape than those in North Dakota. The harsh winter has left the ground frozen and wet. Water is still standing in many fields in North Dakota, though, and some areas are even flooded by the Red River. Despite the moisture, the planting season is still on schedule.
So far, I'd say we're real close to normal. We're hoping to get in the field as soon as possible, like within the next week or two. As long as that happens, we'll be real close to normal.
Southern states like Kansas, Texas, and Oklahoma are actually suffering from drought, boosting grain prices in the country. The average wheat price last year this time was less than $5 per bushel. The price has climbed to as much as $7 this spring. This is one of the highest prices for wheat in U.S. history. If you think you're going to get sick, you probably will. The president of the American Health Foundation says the nocebo effect occurs when people get sick because they have a negative outlook. The Framingham Heart Study also shows that women who believe they will have a heart attack are 4 times more likely to die of a heart condition. The president of the American Health Foundation says doctors should be careful about what they say to their patients. He says patients who get positive feedback from their doctors are more likely to improve if they are sick. Some might be sick of the past winter that has been dragging on. The signs of spring are good news for almost everyone. But if you're a classic car lover, you've been waiting all winter for this moment. It's time to drive.
The love of a classic car goes more than skin deep for many car owners. They've put their heart and soul into these projects and can't wait for the moment to show off their hard work, fuzzy dice and all. But just because it's a classic car doesn't mean you have to live without modern conveniences.
They have tilt, cruise air, power steering, power windows, so they're like a modern car, but so they'll cruise down the interstates in the same manner as the brand new vehicles will.
A car like this one can take 5 to 7 years to complete, leaving little time to sit around. And with the improvements and details shown, you can start to see why. But if you can't remember cars looking like this when they rolled off the assembly line, they probably never did.
This particular car here has been, actually it's been sectioned where the car has been cut and narrowed down to where the car is shorter and the top has been chopped here and so on. So, and the same way with this 37 here, is the top has been lowered down.
This makes many restored cars faster, safer, and more fun to drive than the first time around. Josh Anderson, Studio One.
To find a car to restore, Dave says to start with salvage yards and collectors. He also says to look around local farm yards for those restorable classics. And that's a look at news for this half hour. Scott and Stephanie?
Thanks, Mike. Some absolutely wonderful cars.
Great cars, and actually my brother is restoring a very old pickup, but Mother Nature has not been helping him at all, and along with us. Patrick, how long are these below normal temperatures going to continue?
Well, it looks like our below normal temperatures are going to be continuing throughout this weekend and the start of next week. And even then, we'll get closer to it, but we'll still be at least 10 degrees shy of the normal mark. But for the most part, we should be fairly lucky. I'll tell you about that in a few seconds. First off, your current conditions here in Grand Forks this morning. We're under mostly clear skies, not too bad, but it's a little chilly, 24 degrees. Our dew point at 19. Relative humidity at 81%. Winds are from the north at 9 miles per hour. And our pressure 29.92 inches and rising. Current temperatures across the region, not too bad. We're looking at generally temperatures of 36 at Des Moines, 24 at Aberdeen, 26 at Minot, 32 at Rapid City at this hour. In northern Minnesota, 20 at Duluth, and 15 at International Falls, where they saw about 10 inches of snow yesterday due to a very strong area of low pressure that's now moving over the Great Lakes, bringing some very windy conditions across that area, but the heavier snow across northern Minnesota. Skies are clearing across the Dakotas, and we're expecting a new storm system to start developing out of this area of low pressure now across the western sections of Canada. By later on this afternoon, the system will be developing over the Rocky Mountains in a very active upper level flow, so the cloud cover will continue to increase across the northern Midwest. The upper level system continues to track towards the northern Midwest. Look for precipitation to start to increase towards the west and spread towards the east. Now your forecasted highs for today, we're looking for 40s across much of North Dakota, 50s well down to the southwest of us, 20s for lows tonight, and 30s across southwestern South Dakota. Your forecast today, look for mostly sunny skies. Still pretty cool. Look for north winds at 5 to 15 with a high of around 45. For tonight, look for increasing clouds, turning partly cloudy with a light east-northeast wind, and look for a low right around 27 degrees. And things will continue to stay a little bit chilly around here from the start of this weekend into the start of next week, with high temperatures only making it back up to about 49 degrees. But it looks like we'll only see a slight chance for some precipitation coming in on Saturday with some rain possible, some light snow in there, so that might bungle up things for Springfest tomorrow. And again, dry conditions will start to affect the Red River as well. We're at about 42.72 feet and slowly falling. So things are looking good, Scott and Stephanie.
Thanks, Patrick. It was I put away my cool, warm clothes a little too early, I think.
Well, hopefully you didn't pack them away too far.
I'm going to have to get them out for the weekend.
We take a first look at our sports today with Josh Morden, and it's an update with the National Hockey League, Josh.
Scott, every day we get closer and closer to crowning the Stanley Cup champion. We are approaching final exam time here at UND, and for students, that means plenty of papers to write and plenty of tests to take. A couple sports leagues holding their version of final exams. The only difference is we can't go an extra period. But we begin with the Stanley Cup playoffs. The St. Louis Blues looking to finish up the Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 5 of their best-of-7 series. We pick it up in overtime, and the hometown Leafs are going to sneak one by. Goalie John Casey, Mike Gardner with the game winner for the 5-4 win for the Leafs, but the Blues still hold the series lead at 3-2. And two of the biggest hockey fans I know, Scott Seiler and Patrick Griesgraber, taking in Colorado and Vancouver. This series even up at 2 games apiece, but in overtime, Joe Sakic nets his 3rd goal of the night to give the Avalanche a 5-4 win at home. To the hardwood, and Jack Nicholson telling the Houston Rockets, you can't handle the truth. Jack's Lakers getting out to a nice start, and that's just magic being magic. But Akeem, just too much inside. They call it the Dream Shake, and he doesn't even bother to ask Vlade what flavor he would like. Rockets passed their first test, 87-83. And that's a look at the national highlights. Now here's a look at the overnight scores. Gentlemen, start your engines. You can almost hear those famous words already. May 3rd will kick things off at the Grand Forks Speedway when the Northern Outlaw Sprint Association starts its racing year. Pit crews have spent countless hours preparing cars over the winter for the 20-race season, and although these 750 horsepower monsters are meant for racing, accidents are always an expected part of the game.
Was it a year ago, first night out, we just come from the car show, Prime Steel car show, and went end over end about 4 times on the front straightaway, and we had chrome everywhere.
Sprint cars run on methanol fuel and are made from aircraft quality materials designed to protect the driver. The cars can cost between $40,000 and $60,000. And Stephanie, isn't it amazing how Scott can change his hair color so fast?
Yes, it is, and I didn't realize you and Patrick were such big hockey fans.
Well, we are. It's little known about us, but we actually are. We're out on the ice constantly. 11 minutes now past the hour, and still ahead on Studio One, we'll meet Kjelland. She's bringing back traditional arts through her work with the North Valley Arts Council.
But first, we'll talk with David Wilson about the curriculum changes at the UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences. Studio One continues after this.
Log on to us on the internet. Our email address is udstudio@badlands.nodac.edu. We want to hear what you have to say about Studio One. Let us know what you think about our show, or better yet, give us your story and guest ideas of who you'd like to see on Studio One.
Insurance. Unfortunately, it costs. Fortunately, it pays. Voller Insurance, Grand Forks, Devil's Lake, Bismarck.
You know, ever since I got Community National's imaging, I've had a great idea for a game show.
From your bank statements, who can find check number 1144?
Here it is. Jack's Hardware Store, September 15th, 1995 for $39.
Who is the only bank to offer this incredible imaging service?
My bank?
Wrong. Bill?
Community National Bank, of course.
Be a winner in your new fashion wardrobe from Columbia Mall. Look great in class, your school activity, and your sporting event. New styles are arriving daily. It's an easy stop and comfortable shopping when you shop for all your new fashions at Columbia Mall, Grand Forks. Easy parking, great people, super prices on your new fashions.
The Army National Guard has been serving Americans ever since there has been an America, and we will always be here, giving our best to our communities, preserving our freedoms, protecting our way of life. We're America's citizen soldiers. We're mechanics, businessmen, farmers, nurses, teachers, neighbors, proud to be part of the communities we serve. The Army National Guard, Americans at their best.
And pick your insurance company? As your agent and broker, that's our exact job. We think we do it well, and have been since 1947. Voller Insurance, Grand Forks, Devil's Lake, Bismarck.
You're watching Studio One, news, weather, sports, and entertainment.
The UND School of Medicine and Health Sciences has seen several changes in the past year. Dr. David Wilson, the new dean of the school, is the driving force behind some of these changes. And Dean Wilson joins us today to tell us how medical students and their future patients are benefiting from these changes. Dean, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Scott.
What have been some of your observations? You've been here almost a year now. What have been your observations of the medical profession in the upper Midwest?
Well, first of all, this was a big change for me. I came from the University of Kentucky to North Dakota. I'd never been here before interviewing. And the impressive thing about the school are the students and the faculty. And of course, those are the most important things. Very bright students, motivated, wonderful young people, as medical students are all over the country. But I've been very gratified about that. And in addition, I think that the faculty here are surprisingly good. I think people would think that a small school could not compete in terms of quality with some of the bigger institutions, but that's just not true. We have an outstanding faculty with wonderful research going on and things that the people of North Dakota should be very proud of.
Mm-hmm. You've had a lot of changes going through. One of them is a new logo you've helped create and helped solicit ideas from, and also a new mission statement. Tell us why you're doing this.
Well, first of all, the mission statement. I thought that the previous mission statement was not clear and crisp, and didn't, I think, elucidate exactly what our mission is. And certainly that is to prepare doctors and health scientists and health professionals for the state of North Dakota. The logo in the past was affectionately known as the Two Fat Worms. Was really not a good logo, was really not a proper logo for medicine. And so we had a contest and had lots of entries from around the state of North Dakota for the logo, and I'm really very pleased with it. I think it's bold and exciting. I particularly like at the bottom of the logo, the 1905, which is when the school started, because I think a lot of people don't recognize we've been around a long time.
Contemporary, yes, part of history in it.
Yes.
You've had a year to get a firm grasp on the university and the school. What do you hope to implement in the coming years?
Well, I'm concerned about the faculty. I'm concerned about salaries, which I think every higher institution in the country is. But I have some wonderful people that I want to maintain, and in order to do that, I have to have competitive salaries. So one of the things that I'm doing is in the area of development. I'm trying to garner public and private support for the school. I'm trying to partner with individuals and corporations to help the School of Medicine to become even a better place. In addition, we're looking at the curriculum to see if we can improve the way that we educate young physicians. Not to say that we don't have a good curriculum, we do. We've been turning out good doctors for a long time. But I think there are new areas that need to be emphasized, particularly in the area of communication skills with patients and with families. I think those are always needed and need to be more emphasized. I'm looking at additional training in geriatrics because we have an aging population. I'm looking for additional skills with the computer because I think in the 21st century this will be the tool, particularly for rural doctors, to maintain their contact with the outside world and have up-to-date information.
What about the rural areas? North Dakota, you know, there's been a lot of struggle to try and get doctors into the rural areas and to keep them there.
Yes.
What are your plans for this?
Well, I think that will continue to be a problem, but we are going to work on it. One of the things that we do in North Dakota is to expose all of our medical students to the rural areas of the state. And obviously, if you've never lived in a small town and never experienced what medicine would be like there, then that would seem pretty daunting. But when our young people go out and spend time with local and very good physicians in the state of North Dakota, I think they see that, hey, you know, this is a good place to live. This is a good place to rear a family. And we're hoping that a fair number of them will decide to practice in those communities.
Sounds great. Dean Wilson, thanks for joining us today, and wish you continued success.
Thank you very much.
18 minutes now after the hour, and just ahead on Studio One, we'll preview the movie The Truth About Cats and Dogs. But first, Kjelland is reviving the arts by renovating the historical Empire Theater. It will soon be the artistic center for many communities.
A child needs you. You are the hope. Come on and join us. Everybody working together. Come and walk America. Everybody's making it better. Come and walk for someone you love. Come and walk for someone you love.
I was looking for a car for 3 months, and the folks at Honda Nissan knew I did TV commercials. And so they asked me for suggestions. And all I could tell them was how great I was treated at Honda Nissan. And the next thing you know, here I am. When I went to Honda Nissan, I was treated with such respect. And I really couldn't believe the quality and selection that I found there. People always tell me that you get what you pay for. But at Honda Nissan, you really do get what you pay for.
Beautiful memories, beautiful places, a quiet evening by the lake, a pond by moonlight, an old barn weathered by the years, a country lane leading to the past, an old-fashioned harvest complete with feathered freeloaders, a wild stagecoach ride into the past, a winter hunt. Home Economy Home Furnishings offers a wide variety of paintings which will beautify your home as well as fuel your imagination. Travel through our home furnishings department today. It will be one of the most inexpensive trips you've ever taken, even if you buy a painting. Home Economy Home Furnishings, Highway 81 North, Grand Forks.
The School of Law at the University of North Dakota is steeped in tradition. From the first graduating class, students today learn from the Modern Law Library and computer labs. Students write for the North Dakota Law Review, take part in moot court, and review court proceedings with video technology. Law and medical students compete in the annual Malpractice Bowl.
The size of our student body gives great access to their teachers, and our computer network allows us to access worldwide legal resources.
Look up the UND School of Law for more opportunities.
Many people are unaware of the artistic opportunities in their community. One person wants to revive the arts and promote community awareness about the importance of the arts in our daily lives. Studio One's Teresa Johnston shows us why Kjelland is someone we want you to meet.
Taking on a job like this requires brains as well as brawn, and Kjelland is the brains behind this renovation operation. As executive director of the North Valley Arts Council, Kay is in charge of renovating the historical Empire Theater in downtown Grand Forks. Kay says she's excited about the future for the arts in the Red River Valley.
But I think that the arts have become much more visible in the community, and there's a lot of excitement about the artistic quality that we have here in Grand Forks, and people are just becoming more and more aware how important the arts are in their lives.
She wants to educate the community about the historical importance and value of the old theater and other traditional arts. Kay says she hopes in a few years the theater will be the artistic center of Grand Forks.
We can help to make this area of downtown Grand Forks and East Grand Forks into a destination where people will come to see the unique architecture and specialty shops and the Empire Theater performances and activities and coffee shops and jazz and all that sort of thing. And I think that this is the beginning of what we're going to look like here in Grand Forks.
Involving the community in the project directly is part of Kay's vision.
All of a sudden became very clear to me that my vision was to get this project done and to help to bring the historical significance into prominence here.
Kay, along with the council, supports many other arts organizations all over the region. They provide professional development workshops for art groups as well as the general public. Her goal is to give small art groups the professional ability needed to be successful. Kjelland is making a difference in our lives by keeping tradition alive in the present and preserving it for the future. Teresa Johnston, Studio One.
The newly renovated Empire Theater will seat 416 people and be completed by the end of May. The movie The Truth About Dogs and Cats is a charming romantic comedy about love and friendship. Abby is a radio talk show host who falls in love with a photographer named Brian. He seeks her help over the phone to calm down his Great Dane. When Brian asks to meet Abby, she assumes he'll be disappointed about why she looks like, so Abby asks her friend Noelle to pretend to be her. All seems to be fine until Noelle starts falling for Brian and he notices she's not the same person he fell in love with over the phone. The comical love triangle continues until Abby and Noelle both realize that it is not Noelle's face that he fell in love with, but Abby's personality.
With the voice he loves.
Hello?
What would you say to having a bath?
You love Abby because she's so beautiful.
Yes, she is, but that's not why I love her.
The truth is, you would not be so enamored with Abby if she looked like...
I love Abby. It doesn't matter what she looks like.
This film stars Janine Garofalo and Uma Thurman and Ben Chaplin. Now, time to take a look at the events happening in your area.
Currently, the minimum wage in the United States is set at $4.25 per hour. And as the cost of living continues to rise, some people feel minimum wage should rise as well. Still, others say their businesses could not survive if the minimum wage was raised. Here are your thoughts on what to do about minimum wage.
Yes, I believe the minimum wage should be increased. There's certain areas in our market right now that really could profit from increasing our our minimum wage, because some people, let's face it, live below the poverty line, and in a country such as ours, it shouldn't happen.
Yes, I do. Probably because we don't make enough money for college or pay for our college and to have cars or anything like that. And I think it should be about $4.75 to $5.
Yes, I do. I think it should go up at least equally with the cost of living increase each year.
I work for minimum wage right now, and the hours I work, I'm barely getting by, and I think the minimum wage should be increased at least to $5.25 an hour.
Researchers say they found the soil of the future, and it's coming to your backyard very soon. NASA scientists have developed a new synthetic soil that eliminates the need to fertilize on a yearly basis. As water runs through the new soil, nutrients are released into the ground. Now, researchers say it's more environmentally friendly because it doesn't need to be fertilized as often.
Slow release of this soil is such that I feel with the adequate studies will show that it reduces pollution and runoff, and that's one of our major problems today in the horticulture industry, in the golf industry, the nitrates and other fertilizers getting into the watersheds and polluting not only the lakes but also the groundwaters all over the United States and everywhere as far as that goes.
Researchers hope to have the soil on the market by next year. 26 minutes after, and still ahead on Studio One, we'll talk with Rachelle Nilles about the importance of recycling. Plus, a look at parents who push their children too far in sports. This pressure can cause psychological and behavioral problems for youngsters. That story plus Patrick's updated weather forecast and news and sports in our next half hour on Studio One.
UND's Division of Continuing Education can help you learn throughout your lifetime. Begin or continue your education through correspondence study and learning after hours with classes on weekends and evenings. Or enhance your personal and professional development through conferences, management seminars, and specialized programs.
Our goal is to provide quality programs and extend UND resources to you.
For more information, call 777-4266 or 1-800-342-8230.
At Studio One, we're moving you into the future, and we're growing. Today, nearly 1.5 million people have the opportunity to see Studio One. In addition to Channel 3 in Grand Forks, Studio One can be seen on Channel 2 in Fargo, Channel 12 in Bismarck-Mandan, Channel 19 in Minot, in Crookston, Minnesota on Channel 7, and now on Channel 6 in the Twin Cities greater metro area. You're never far away from Studio One as we move you into the future.
Oh, gee, I mean, you can ask the students.
The education that you get is as good as or better than what you can get at anywhere else.
The teachers really go out of their way to help you outside of class.
It's just an incredibly rich opportunity and environment here.
Gee, Vince, what kind of dummy wouldn't know how to use a child safety seat?
Beats me, lads. Child's play.
You just buckle him in.
Unless he's over 20 pounds.
Then this one's good.
Except if he's over 40 pounds.
Then you're into this kind of race.
What if he outgrows that?
Put him in a booster seat?
What if he's too big for a booster seat?
Would he use the safety belt?
The Auto Safety Hotline can tell you everything you need to know about keeping your child safe in a car.
I'm a wreck.
Totaled.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Call 1-800-424-9393.
Now from the University of North Dakota, this is Studio One.
And welcome back, everyone.
Well, spring finally has come. Summer is shortly on its way, and that means family vacations. And our news team will tell us about how some families are doing a little alternative to the family vacation, and that'll be coming up later.
Also, in the next 30 minutes on Studio One, another point our news team will talk about, they'll tell us how movie makers are giving Minnesota 2 thumbs up as one of the best locations to film movies.
Plus, we'll take an in-depth look into controlling parents and how they're putting too much pressure on their kids in sports.
And we'll show you how rejuvenating paper is easy to do and it's environmentally friendly. We'll have a first-hand demonstration on that. But first, today's national news from CNN and news from around the region with Mike Mundahl. Mike.
Thanks, Scott and Stephanie. After months of arguing, a federal budget is finally on its way to the president's desk. This means there should be no more government shutdowns for a while. The House and Senate voted Thursday, more than 6 months late, on a deal agreed to by the President and leaders of both parties in Congress.
If we have an agreement that is within our grasp that we know is good for the country, then the credit will take care of itself, and the credit will probably flow in appropriate proportions to everybody involved in it.
Although the problem is fixed for now, Congress must come up with a budget for the fiscal year that begins in October. Driving in the U.S. has suddenly become a problem on the pocketbook. Nationally, gas prices have gone up an average of 14 cents a gallon, but it's not because oil companies are trying to make a huge profit. Since February, crude oil prices are higher. When refineries have to buy crude oil at a higher price, consumers pay a higher price. Although some analysts believe prices may have already topped out, the peak driving season is just around the corner. Many families are concerned with the little time they have together. A study shows recreation vehicles, or RVs, could actually strengthen family relationships and help families escape hectic schedules. The study also shows more than 90% of parents who own RVs agree they are the best way to travel with family. Overall, this results in increased business for RV dealers.
We see that probably that we're seeing a little younger market buying the fold-down campers and smaller travel trailers, and they're doing that because of cost effectiveness and the fact that they can spend time together.
RV vacationing is beneficial for children. Many parents and grandparents say RV travel broadens children's horizons. Minnesota is known for more than just its lakes. The state is also a booming location for filmmakers. The Hollywood Reporter lists Minnesota as one of the 5 hottest film locations. The Minnesota Film Board says the nice thing about filming in Minnesota is the variety of locations. Minnesota generated $23 million in 1995 with movies like Grumpier Old Men, Beautiful Girls, and Fargo. Jingle All the Way, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, began filming in the Twin Cities last week. The other 4 hot film locations are Toronto, British Columbia, Texas, and Florida. 20 years ago, you would have rarely seen a person who uses a wheelchair in a shopping mall or a movie theater. Today, people with disabilities are able to participate more in the community. Certain people devote their lives to help people with disabilities break the barriers of their environment.
Some people wouldn't think twice about going up a flight of stairs. For Jay Johnson, stairs are a physical barrier. Jay is the executive director of Options for Independent Living and has been since it began 10 years ago. Jay understands the frustrations of people with disabilities because he is a person who uses a wheelchair.
It's not a regular social service agency. The majority of the staff that work here at Options are people with disabilities, like myself, that have been through the system. They know what it's like to be beaten down. They know what it's like to have people not listen to you.
Jay uses his experiences to help people with disabilities take control of their lives. One thing not so easily controlled is accessibility. Jay says although accessibility has come a long way, there are still some definite problems in parking. Most businesses have handicap parking spots, but they fail to make these spaces wide enough for people who use wheelchairs.
And that gets real frustrating because when you come in, I've got a van with a lift. I drop the lift down and I go in to do business at a store. I come out, somebody's pulled in right alongside me and parked, and I can't get out. So I've either got to wait for them to come out or I've got to go find somebody to back my van up so I can get in.
Jay says overall, Grand Forks has good accessibility, but there's always room for improvement.
It's a smart business move. I mean, you got 49 million people with disabilities in the United States. That's a pretty big block of consumers that you can serve by making some small modifications to your business that most of them cost under $100.
Although accessibility is better than it was 20 years ago, there is still a need for increasing awareness of people with disabilities. Julie Benson, Studio One.
Before Jay coordinated Options for Independent Living, he helped people with disabilities by working out of his apartment. If you plan on playing with your grandkids and you are reaching your golden years, you may want to get in shape. For seniors, this can cause problems if they are careless. It is important to start getting in shape at least 3 months before spring to be ready for summertime activities.
We'll start maybe walking the mall in the mornings, find a fitness center that you're comfortable with, find a fitness level that you're comfortable with, and start out slow. A couple of times a week in January, it's cold. So go out twice a week and walk. That walking is going to get your metabolism up first, then go and get in shape.
When people are exercising, they should know their limits. If a certain exercise hurts, they should not keep trying to do it. And that's Look at News for this half hour. Scott and Stephanie.
Thanks, Mike. Some good advice.
Yes, and according to Patrick's forecast, it looks like people will be exercising indoors for a few more days. How much rain or snow can we expect this weekend, Patrick?
Well, we are going to get a little bit of a dusting of some possible mixed snow, but more or less it's going to be the rain that's going to be a possibility here in Grand Forks than anything else. But it's going to be dampening out. We'll see a few more clouds around here more than anything else. Your current conditions here this morning as you're on your way out to work, mostly clear, temperature 26 degrees, the dew point is at 18. That's given us a relative humidity of 71%. Winds are from the north at 9 miles per hour, and the pressure is 29.93 inches and rising. The forecast today, look for mostly sunny skies. It's going to be a little cool with north winds at 5 to 15. Look for a high of around only 45 degrees. For tonight, increasing clouds will turn partly cloudy, a low of around 27 with light east to northeast winds. And in the outlook, Saturday through Monday, we'll see our high temperature go back on the increase. Toward the start of next week, we'll see high right up about 49 by Monday. But we are going to see some precipitation by tomorrow. Looks like we'll see some snow in the afternoon, but the possibility for some snow in the morning is going to be good. Rain in the afternoon. So for the most part, we'll see a few more clouds around here, Scott and Stephanie. Temperatures are going to get bitten back to normal by next week.
Thanks, Patrick. Well, a little more rain and snow, maybe this will be the end of it.
Yeah, hopefully. The people who are affected by the flood certainly don't need any more rain. And also the flood has been affecting outdoor sports, Josh. People want to get outside and do a little golfing or whatever. Can't do it.
Well, Scott, the calendar says that spring has sprung into action. We have had some sunny days and some cool nights, but for golfers ready to hit the course, it seems the only thing spring has sprung is a leak.
It's already near the end of April. The cold winter will be gone for a while, and what a perfect time for golfing. Or is it? The unpredictable weather and flooding have put a damper on ideas of golfing so far. The Lincoln Park Golf Course in Grand Forks may have the worst problem of all, with over 2/3 of the 18-hole course sitting underwater.
Last year it was about, I think, around 40 feet, 39 feet. This year, as soon as we get to 42 to 42 and a half, then we lose the whole bottom half of the course if it goes over that.
With all the weather problems and more courses opening in recent years, business for golf courses has slowly been dropping.
Last year was probably the bottom of the last 10, 15 years. We had a high in I think I would believe it was 90, where we had 41,000. Then after that, it steadily has dropped from there.
I like to golf them all. I usually get a pass at one of them, but whatever which one it is, it better get open early. You know, if it's going to be real long, it's not real long delay in getting open. I'm not going to get a pass at that course.
By the same time last year, Christian already had the Lincoln course up and running, but a snowstorm 2 weeks later delayed thoughts of golfing. And in August of 1993, a yearly all-city tournament was won by the Risen Red River. Hopefully, someone will win the tournament this year.
But it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time to get it cleaned up. A lot of mud is left once the river goes down.
If you're thinking of hitting the links anytime soon, think again. Most golf courses still have traces of snow, or like this one, are underwater. Only Mother Nature can tell us when we can get back on the course in full swing. I'm Eric Hansen reporting for Studio One Sports.
And a few driving ranges are opening up around Grand Forks, but the possibilities of golfing are still in Mother Nature's hands. Here's another look at the scores from last night. Top seed Thomas Mooster extended his clay court winning streak to 32 matches Thursday with his win at the Monte Carlo Open. Among the notables making early exits, number 2 seed Andre Agassi, number 3 seed Michael Chain, and number 8 seed Jim Courier. Scott and Stephanie?
Thanks, Josh. 40 minutes after the hour, stay with us. Rachel Nilles from the Environmental Conservation Organization shows us how to make our own recycled paper.
Plus a look at how parents take the fun out of playing sports by pressuring their children to win. That story's next on Studio One.
Insurance. Unfortunately, it costs. Fortunately, it pays. Voller Insurance. Grand Forks, Devil's Lake, Bismarck.
The University Bookstore at UND is open to everyone and invites you to make it your lifelong learning resource center. At the largest university bookstore in the Dakotas, you can choose from a wide selection of educational materials, imprinted clothing, and gift items. The trade department carries general interest books, reference materials, and educational software. Special orders and direct mailing services are available at the University Bookstore by calling 1-800-671-0948.
Be a winner in your new fashion wardrobe from Columbia Mall. Look great in class, your school activity, and your sporting event. New styles are arriving daily. It's an easy stop and comfortable shopping when you shop for all your new fashions at Columbia Mall, Grand Forks. Easy parking, great people, super prices on your new fashions.
If you think a college education is out of reach, the Army National Guard can put it within your grasp. With the Montgomery GI Bill, you can attend college full-time while serving in the Army National Guard. It's the best way to earn money for college while serving your country and your community. So join the Army National Guard. Earn the money you need for college and learn the skills you need for life. The Army National Guard. Americans at their best.
And pick your insurance company? As your agent and broker, that's our exact job. We think we do it well, and have been since 1947. Voller Insurance. Grand Forks, Devil's Lake, Bismarck.
You're watching Studio One. News, weather, sports, and entertainment.
There are plenty of lessons kids can learn from participating in sports. Discipline, hard work, and working as a team. But sometimes those lessons come with a price tag. Studio One's Josh Morton takes an in-depth look at kids and competition.
A thought to ponder as we approach our summertime sports. Whether it's hockey, basketball, soccer, or tennis, kids in sports are a natural fit. So much so that we lose sight of some of the negative consequences of kids in competition.
Children in sports, go together. And kids, if left to themselves, will have a fun time, and that it'll be good for them. And that, if we forget that children are children, that's when problems start to happen.
And unfortunately, the problems usually start with the parents, whether they're pushing their kids too hard or focusing on the wrong things.
Who wants to be out for hockey? Is it dad or mom that wants to be out for hockey, or is it the kid? Parents who are focusing mostly on the winning aspect of the game, that also, has a kid lose focus. That they start focusing just on the winning rather than on kind of playing the game.
Brian Goodman is a 7th grader who has been playing tennis for 4 years, and he's seen plenty of unhealthy situations.
I know one kid in Minneapolis that just quit playing because his parents pressured him so much. My parents don't. One match isn't that big of a deal. I mean, it's just one match. If you win some, you lose some.
Sound advice from a teenager, but there are some things to keep in mind when dealing with a young athlete. The Mayo Clinic gives several suggestions. Parents should emphasize participation more than the outcome. They should also sit down and discuss how sports fit in with the rest of their child's life. And parents should get their kids to play more than just one sport. Burning out is all too common for those who specialize.
You get burned out if you play too much. Like every August, I kind of just take it off. because I play so much during the summer and go everywhere.
Amidst all the negatives, sports still provides plenty of good lessons. One of those is learning to deal with failure.
What happens when you lose the game? Well, what happens the next day or the next Monday? You go out and you go back to practice. You know, you go back to practice and you keep focusing on, you keep working at it. Now that's a good metaphor for life.
And although parents should realize their kids won't turn out to be a Michael Jordan, wanting to be like Mike is still okay.
I think role models are important for any person. And many of the professional ball players can be very excellent role models.
Whether they can jump like Jordan or not, though, Dr. Sternhagen says there is one word that should be part of any child's experience: fun.
An ideal situation for a child? I would say it would be one where the kid is having fun.
After all, they are just playing kids' games.
And Josh Morton joins us for some additional follow-up information. Josh, how do kids' physical maturity affect them?
Well, the natural tendency is when a child is more physically mature than the rest of his classmates that we always want to move them up a level and let him play with older kids. But that's not always the best thing, especially when you're talking like a difference between a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. There's an awful big difference between emotional maturity, and psychologically it's usually better just to let them stay and play with their classmates because it's a lot more fun for them.
So then what's wrong with specializing on just one sport at an early age?
Well, the worst thing to do at an early age is to just say, this is my sport and this is what I'm going to do, because then you're leaving yourself out of a whole world of different things that you could be doing. And it's basically telling the kid that this is your sport and you have to be good at it. And it's a lot more pressure that they just don't need.
Some good information. Thanks, Josh. 47 after, and up next in Studio One, Stephanie talks with Rachelle Nilles, who's going to give us a first-hand demonstration on the environmentally safe way to recycle paper at your home.
If there's something you want to know about Studio One, write us, call us, or fax us. Our address is Box 7307, Grand Forks, North Dakota, 58202. If you wish to call us, dial 701-777-4346 or fax your message to us at 701-777-4342.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
And it's true. We know we can count on you to do what Smokey says.
Drown your campfires with water. Make sure it's totally wet. Then stir and drown again.
We know we can count on you to do what Smokey says.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
I was looking for a car for 3 months, and the folks at Honda Nissan knew I did TV commercials. And so they asked me for suggestions, and all I could tell them was how great I was treated at Honda Nissan. And the next thing you know, here I am. When I went to Honda Nissan, I was treated with such respect. And I really couldn't believe the quality and selection that I found there. People always tell me that you get what you pay for. But at Honda Nissan, you really do get what you pay for.
When you put together quality faculty with quality programs, with superb students and all kinds of neat opportunities, you're going to get literally a world-class education. And that's what we can provide at the University of North Dakota.
Coming here, you do meet a lot of people from different cultures, and it's really broadened my horizons a lot, kept me more open-minded.
I really like the professors here. They're always available. You can go in and talk to them whenever you need them.
It really has everything to offer. You don't need to go far away to get a really good education anymore.
Many of us throw paper away every day without even thinking about it. There is an easy alternative that is friendly to the environment. Rachelle Nilles from the Environmental Conservation Organization is here to show us how to recycle paper. Thanks for joining us today, Rachelle. What are the first steps when we want to recycle paper?
Well, first of all, the paper that I'm going to show today is all recycled from used paper that you use every day. Maybe you get it from flyers or mailings or whatever. The best way, we use colored paper, and you start out right here.
And you start out with any types of colors, and you just tear them up into small pieces?
Yeah, probably about like a silver dollar size or whatever. And then you just want to tear those up and keep your colors together.
Now, I've noticed there's different yellows in here. Will they all be the same color yellow in the end?
Yeah, it's a lot like mixing paints together. It'll just turn out to be one color. It won't be swirled at all.
And there'll be no black from the ink or anything in there?
On the top, when we finish blending it, there will be a little residue of ink, but it's very minimal and it won't show up in your paper at all.
And then the next step, we have to soak the paper. And how long do we have to soak this paper?
For approximately about 15 minutes in hot tap water.
How hot do you need it? Does it need to be a certain temperature?
No, it doesn't. If you want it probably more than lukewarm. Hot water just from your tap would be fine. It's just to break down the particles a little bit.
So we've shredded it up, soaked it in hot water. The next step is to blend it.
Is to blend it, yes, and that's what we're going to start with now. What you generally want to do is get some water in there first, and so I'll pour some in.
Now this is something that families could do with their young children, and it could be a fun activity, rainy day activity.
Sure, yeah. It's really easy to do. There are different recipes for making paper. This one I'm doing today is just water and paper. Some recipes call for putting glue or something else in there. So if you just want to turn it on, we'll blend it up.
How long do you have to blend?
Just for about 15 seconds or so.
Okay, and how would people know that it's done being blended?
When the color is pretty much the same all the way through. You can probably turn it off there.
And
we'll check here. And you're going to get something, this is pulp. All our paper is made out of wood, and so this would be like a wood pulp. And as you can see, the color is very vibrant here.
So now we pour it into the bin?
You can pour it right on over here.
How much paper do people use normally in a year?
In a year, approximately, there are about 250 million tons of paper worldwide. Right now, about 36 million tons are being diverted from the landfills in recycling. And this is a form of recycling. It's not a commercial form.
But it certainly helps. Every little bit helps.
Yes.
Why are you adding additional water to it?
Okay, we just want to make a substance here that is a little bit more fluid, and the pulp can come through this paper, or come through this.
And so you have to use these forms of plastic?
Yep, this is like a crocheting plastic. I think they call it like a 9-stitch hole.
Okay.
And right now we're just going to make a piece of square paper.
Okay, so what do we do first?
Okay, we're going to put it down into the tub here. And the pulp is just going to rest on the top. Now this paper that we have here is fairly thick. We've made a pretty thick batch here. If you blend it longer, it will be thinner. But you don't want it so thin that the paper is soaking through the holes.
Okay. And depending on the shapes, you can make different shapes here. You have stars and also hearts, and that produces the different shapes in the paper.
Right, right.
Now on this one, you've developed a letter, an envelope. How do you get the different colors in it?
Okay, this one is just a series of layers. This first layer would just be like this right here, and then I use a smaller square in the center, and then I just put the heart over the top of it. I'll show you quickly here what we're going to be doing.
And you need to get rid of some of that water, the moisture?
Right. Right now this is pretty saturated, and as you can see it's dripping here. And so you want to flip it over onto a sheet, and that makes a nice surface, and sponge up the excess water.
And how long will it take that to dry then?
Well, if you leave it out on the sheet overnight, It should be dry in the morning. If you put a fan on it, you could be done in about 6 hours.
Okay, thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
We really appreciate the tips you've given us. 55 minutes now after the hour. Studio One continues after this.
From the University of North Dakota, you're watching Studio One.
UND's Division of Continuing Education can help you learn throughout your lifetime. Begin or continue your education through correspondence study and learning after hours with classes on weekends and evenings. Or enhance your personal and professional development through conferences, management seminars, and specialized programs.
Our goal is to provide quality programs and extend UND resources to you.
For more information, call 777-4266 or 1-800-342-8230.
Good afternoon, officer. My license and registration. Cheeseburger? It's hot out today, huh, officer? Maybe my tail light's out.
Shouldn't you be carpooling?
I guess you're right.
I guess I am.
Carpooling can save up to 600,000 gallons of gas a year. This message sponsored by Ad Council and Earthshare.
The School of Law at the University of North Dakota is steeped in tradition. From the first graduating class, students today learn from the Modern Law Library and computer labs. Students write for the North Dakota Law Review, take part in moot court, and review court proceedings with video technology. Law and medical students compete in the annual Malpractice Bowl.
The size of our student body gives great access to their teachers, and our computer network allows us to access worldwide legal resources.
Look up the UND School of Law for more opportunities.
Well, we're wrapping up our last show of the year, and a lot of people are graduating, and Josh, you're one of them. What are your future plans?
Well, it's on to the real world of sports reporting as a sports reporter for WDAY in Fargo.
Well,
looking forward to it.
Good luck with that, and Mike, we'll be back next semester.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And we're going to wrap up our show with a special twist. You know, they see us all the time, but a lot of people don't see the people behind the scenes who put in a tremendous amount of work to put this entire show together. So we're going to show you the pictures of those people. And we just want to say we appreciate all of your continuous support for watching us at Studio One. We hope you have a great summer.